batteries. So the tachometer in my E30 has stopped working. So when you rev up the engine, nothing happens. It just shows 0 RPM all the time. So looking on the E30 Zone wiki, seems like this is probably caused by a flat battery inside your instrument cluster. In this video, I'm going to show you how I replaced those two batteries with some cheap but compatible replacements, and how I was able to do it without welding tools. So first of all, we need to get the instrument cluster out of the car. And to do that, first you remove these two thumb screws, and that lets you pop out this little plastic trim. And then you have to remove, I think it was 6 Phillips head screws, which will let you remove the black trim piece around the instrument cluster. And finally, you'll be left with these 2 screws at the top. These are the only things holding the instrument cluster in place now. So undo those and you can flip the instrument cluster forwards, revealing 2 sets of connectors. So we've got a white connector on the left. To remove this, use a flathead screwdriver and pry open that locking pin. And then you can pull the locking pin all the way out, and that will release the connector, which should come off very easily now. Do the same for the blue connector on the right side. Now we have the instrument cluster removed from the car and sitting on our desk. We can take a closer look. So there are a lot of holes here for various bulbs that go in and light up the various indicators on the instrument cluster. If you just need to replace some broken bulbs, or in my case missing bulbs, you can go ahead and do that here, and you can reinstall the instrument cluster back in your car. So I will be inserting some of these missing bulbs. I won't be showing the process of replacing the bulbs, as it's quite straightforward. Just insert and twist. But I will say that I found it easier to find replacement parts from other cars, like this one. Now let's disassemble the instrument cluster so we can replace the batteries inside. To do this, you have to just undo maybe 8 to 10 screws that are on the back, on the blue part of the cover. Most of them are around the edges, but one is in the middle above the orange or yellow connector. And then just push back these 2 white clips, and the whole back part of the instrument cluster should come right off. So the 2 halves of the instrument cluster have been separated, and in here we've got a circuit board, so you can see, and we also have a few lithium batteries in this circuit board, and those are the 2 batteries that we'll be replacing. So there's a single Phillips head screw holding this plastic insert in place. And then you have to flip the instrument panel around and remove the coding plug that tells the instrument panel which model is connected to. Now you should be able to slide the circuit board out. On 6 volts. The other one is 0.66 volts, so pretty low. These are supposed to be 3 volt batteries. I've got replacements here, but they are CR2 batteries. Not quite the exact replacement, but these were a heck of a lot cheaper. And they are 3 volts, and they are almost exactly the same size, just slightly bigger. The main problem for me is the new batteries don't come with the soldered on feet, the legs that these 2 batteries have. They go through the PCB and come out at the back and get soldered on. So yeah, to figure out something for that. So let's test the voltage of the new batteries. First one is 3.29 volts. And the second one 3.27. Perfect. Okay, that's the 3-volt battery, so I don't know, overperforming batteries, high achievers, Panasonic. Alright, let's try and get these two off without desoldering the feet. You can keep the feet on there so I can use the new batteries on it. You can see the new batteries compared to the old. Slightly longer than I expected. A little bit more longer. But then in terms of width, two batteries, will they fit? Ooh, it's a tight fit. It's a very tight fit. I think it works. Width wise it works. In terms of length, we'll just bend the feet a bit because there's space. Alright. So I decided to remove the old batteries by using a little bit of brute force. I've got a small flathead screwdriver here, and the batteries' feet are welded onto the batteries, but it's just spot welding. So just get the flathead screwdriver in between the feet and the battery and just wedge it in there and force them apart. It'll come off eventually. Just try not to damage the surrounding areas. Definitely don't stab the PCB with your flathead screwdriver. Just keep working on it until all 4 feet are separated from the 2 batteries. This little daughter card with the LEDs can be removed. Okay, now that you got both of the old batteries out, future me is going to come in and show you how best I found to install the new batteries without having to weld them onto the battery feet or terminals. So what we need is some way to hold the battery feet onto the battery terminals so that there's a good physical connection, which will give us a good electrical connection. Even when the car is vibrating, you're driving on a bumpy road, that physical connection needs to remain attached. So to do that, I'm using a hot glue gun and just gluing a dollop of glue on the outer sides of each of the feet. This gives us a kind of a bulge onto which we can clamp something, which will then clamp the feet onto the battery. So it looks like this when you're done. Now we'll take the 2 new batteries, which I've already hot glued together, and insert them into the battery area. And we'll use a zip tie for each battery to hold it in place, to clamp it against the battery feet. Now there's not much space for the batteries once you insert it back into the instrument cluster, so make sure the part of the zip tie that bulges out will be hidden behind the daughter card that contains all the LEDs, the vertical circuit board which we removed earlier. Zip tie the second battery too, and it should look like this when you're done. Now that we have a good physical connection, we flip the circuit board around and we are going to test that the electrical connection is good. To To do that, we're going to connect the multimeter to the soldered part of the feed on the bottom part of the PCB. As long as the positive and negative are getting 3 volts, then we're good. Now you can clean up the zip ties and reinstall the daughter card. And we can do a simulation of some car vibrations and bumpy roads and make sure the electrical connection is still good. And now you can put everything back together and enjoy the working tachometer. If this video helped you, please let me know by leaving a thumbs up and a comment. For more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. Haha! It works! Tachometer works! Just needed new batteries.